field, defenders they shiver. Goalkeepers nervous, strikers they'll deliver. Crowd roars erupted, you can feel the quake. 80,000 voices. We never lose, and lose, and lose. We never lose, and lose, and lose. We never lose, and lose, and lose. Shortcuts on the field, defenders they shiver. Goalkeepers nervous, strikers they'll deliver. Crowd roars erupted, you can feel the quake. 80,000 voices.
Hey everybody, you're welcome to the channel. So today we're talking about Nigerian football, talking about the Super Eagles of Nigeria. How do we set them up? Though we have Premier League games, though we have La Liga games, and you have club football going on as well. But we're coming towards the point where we're going to have another international break next month, and that would see Nigeria take on Zimbabwe, take on Lesotho and Benin Republic, if I'm not mistaken. So, how does Nigeria set up? What has been the problem of Nigeria going into in this past World Cup qualifying games, and how do we fix that going into the remaining World Cup qualifying games as well as the AFCON itself? For me, like I've always said, is keep things simple. Go back to the way Nigeria used to play. Now, I know we have modern day football, we have modern day tactics, but stick to those foundational principles. But that I mean, stick to wing play. Use your best assets. Use your pacey forwards in the right positions, as opposed to playing them in that sort of 10 role, playing players in odd positions. And frankly, this is something that's not just tied to Eric Chiel alone. This seems to be a modern day manager type of thing, where you see coaches, they see a right back, they say, no, I see you as someone that can play midfield, and they have that play midfield, and then they see, a winger and say, okay, in this winger, we see someone that can be a defender, or we see someone that can be a supporting striker, and then you have options on the bench that can actually play as supporting strikers. For me, the thing is, play with the best players you have. We produce wingers, we produce fullbacks with pace, we produce strikers with pace. Victor Osimhen that we haven't even heard about. Elijah Odede, another one that signed with Chua in the French Ligue 1. So in French Ligue 2, the second division in the French league. So we produce all these players, and then even the big ones like your Victor Osimhen, your Ademola Lookmans, we produce these sort of players. So why not embrace these players? Play them in the right positions. We've had all the sense of people talking about passion. The players are not passionate enough. That's why the team is struggling. Yes, that can be true. That can be true. But how about you play a player in his rightful position? And then, if that player struggles, if you play Ademola Lookman as that left wing forward, that left winger position, if he struggles, then you can say, okay, I've played you in your best position, where you claim to be your best position, where you play for your club, but you're not cutting it. You're not creating chances. You're not scoring goals. So Whammo will relegate you to the bench, or we say you don't have passion, or we say you're not good enough. But this question of playing players out of position and then coming up to say this player is not passionate, this player is not good enough, for me, it just doesn't work. Now, going into the game versus South Africa, we played the last fixture. We had Ademola Lookman play like some sort of secondary striker type role that was odd and weird to me, and played Cyril Dessers as this big centre forward where you want to play long balls to. We all know we've watched Ademola Lookman for days. Even when he struggled at Everton, sometimes he was playing at left wing. He went to Atalanta. That's where he's made his name right now. He made his name playing at that left wing. He scored that hat trick playing that left wing for Atlanta. So why not look at, as an international coach, you don't have months after months after months with these players. You just have a couple of weeks, and then boom, you have to play a game. And that's for AFCON. When you're talking about qualifying games, where you have 2-3 days, boom, you're playing the qualifying match. So you don't have that time to overly drill these players. And even if you do, why wouldn't you drill them in that position that they're favored in? You know, uh, Ademola Lookman is one of them. We also had the issue with Ola. We just pray that he fully recuperates and gets back to full health because the surgery was successful. Thank God for that. Hopefully everything works out right, and by December he's fit and ready to go. But we've seen incidences where Eric Chiel has taken Ola and played him in midfield. To what end? Sorry, and played him as a left back. To what end? When you have two left backs right there, why would you do that? Play your best players in their rightful positions. And all over the world, England, Spain, Italy, Germany, France, whatever, players, the team usually shapes their style of play around their best players. And in Nigeria, we have two top players, and then everyone follows afterwards. So Victor Osimhen, Ademola Lookman. So anything you want to play, any style, whether it's 4-4-2, 5-3-2, whatever formation, half space, whatever space, you pick those two players and play them in their best position, in their absolute best position. And then you go on and say, okay, the rest of the team, do I have left backs? Play them in their best position. Because that then allows them to be comfortable in their position and give you the result that you want. So that's for one. And then secondly, going back to playing the style of football that suits Nigeria, that we produce talents for regularly. Because if you want to play this tiki-taka business, that's for Spain. Then you best go find those sixes or those tens that masquerade as sixes that they have that play in that Spanish midfield. Even the Spanish team, they still rely on two very exciting wingers. Lamine Yamal, we all know Barcelona, Nico Williams for Athletic Bilbao. So why, for a country like Nigeria where we produce wingers everywhere you look, from dual nationals to singular nationals, you have wingers, you have exciting strikers. So you have Victor Osimhen is number one. Then you have Boniface. Then you have Arokodare. Then you have Victor Orakpo. So you have all these players coming up in that mold. 6'4", 6'2", 6'3", 6'4", giants, strikers. And then you want to play something different. Fair play, Eric Chiel wanted to play long ball, right? He wanted to play long ball. But at the end of the day, he got his selection wrong with the striker. He should have gone Arokodare. He went for Desas. Now, the formation is one thing. I'll get back to it and I'll look at different formations and different setup, how I would like to see Nigeria play, how to fix the issue of Nigeria. Now, but before we go there, we must talk about invitation, player selection. That is an issue. Someone on X said something, and it felt really, really, really strange. It felt really strange to me, right? It felt really strange to me. Someone said, he created a midfield trio. He had Iwobi, he had Al Hassan Yusuf, and what was it, Rafael Onyedika in that midfield. And he said Al Hassan Yusuf is Nigeria's most complete midfielder. I didn't know whether to laugh. I didn't know whether to get upset. I didn't know whether to block the fellow. I didn't know what to do. It just felt crazy to me, right? Now, it's one thing if you say, I think he's a serviceable midfielder. He can come off the bench, do 20 minutes here, 30 minutes here, or don't be too harsh on him. He's a player that can come good. But to tell me that Al Hassan Yusuf is the most complete midfielder in Nigeria is just crazy. In a country where you have Uche Santos, you have Rafael Onyedika, even Frank Onyeka, you want to tell me that was his face is the most complete midfielder that Nigeria has? That's just a joke. At that point, I just stopped talking. I just stopped exchanging tweets with the person because for me, there was no point. So now, go to the issue of player selection. That is something that has been a problem for Nigeria. It's not because you don't have certain players there. It's just because the NFF has, for whatever reason, decided not to invite certain players. Now, let's start with the left wing. That left wing option. Ademola Lookman is our number one, 100%. No questions about it. He is our number one option. Now, the second option, who is that second left winger? Right now, there's no one you can call. There's no one you can call. People keep saying Iwobi is a left winger. I just think he isn't. He has good functions, he has good roles, but to play as a left wing, I don't think that's something he should be doing, especially for a country where you have wingers produced quite a lot. For me, I would go with inviting Filippo Tele. Invite Filippo Tele and let him be in 1B to 1A to Ademola Lookman's 1B, 1A, sorry. So that's it for there. And then the likes of Noah Dedi Sternberg, we should begin to look at these players and say, is there we can get them to come in? Is there we can get them to commit to the country? Then we go to the centre forward position. You have Victor Osimhen, of course. He's the number one. He's the chairman. Don't take all this things people tell you. People are trying to degrade Victor Osimhen. I just look at it and I just ask myself, why? Why do we do this? Why do people do this? And funny enough, you would think degrading a Nigerian striker, demeaning a Nigerian striker, maybe that's an European, maybe that's South African. No. Wouldn't you know it? Nigerians. Whatever points they're trying to score, I quite don't understand. I don't really get it, right? But we know Victor Osimhen is the top guy in Nigeria. Striker, he's the number one option. Then number two. So number two option, number three option, number four option. That is where we now have to look at. I think Tolu Arokodare can be a good number two option. Victor Boniface can be a good number two option. So he and Tolu Arokodare are tied for that one. And then as well, I will look at Rafiu Doroshimi. I'll look at him because he's got some qualities that Victor Osimhen has, but not all of them. Because Victor Osimhen, for me, apart from his physical qualities, which is pace, athletic ability, heading ability, fierce shots, good finishing ability, but he has this mad mentality in a very, very good way where he's ready, super confident to go up against any player in the world. And that's something you need. Just like we used to see from Donald Amokachi, Atlanta 96, USA 94, that's sort of, I don't care who you are, I don't care the club you play for, I don't care the country you play for, I will match up against you. And I believe I'm better than you. That's something Victor Osimhen has in quantum. So but that's Rafiu Doroshimi, he has some of those Victor Osimhen's type of qualities. But so he's 6'4", so that is slightly taller than Victor Osimhen. He's pacey, he can run the channels. I did a video talking about him as well, so that's one we should look at too. If you haven't seen the video after this live stream, go ahead and watch. And go ahead and watch that video. He can run the channels. He can be that powerful lone striker in the middle. He can hold up play. He can set up his teammates as well. So I think that's a nice option. So you can either go Victor Osimhen and Tolu Arokodare, or Victor Osimhen and Rafiu Doroshimi, or Victor Osimhen and Victor Boniface. Now, speaking of Victor Boniface, I know lots of people have been critical about Victor Boniface, and I have as well been critical about Victor Boniface. But I stepped back and had a look and thought about it again. I said, Victor Boniface, why is it that he doesn't score goals for Nigeria the way he scores for his club? He doesn't create goals the way he creates for his club. And I arrived at the answer, and this was the answer. We have been misprofiling Victor Boniface in the Nigerian national team. I think Eric Chell as well, I think Eguavon as well, I think Finidi George too. What's his face? Jose Pesero. We've all seen Victor Boniface as that lone striker. You play up there, he plays on his own, like a Victor Osimhen. He is not. When I look at it closely, I looked at how he played under Xabi Alonso for Bayer Leverkusen. I looked at how he's now playing for Werder Bremen in the German Bundesliga alongside another Nigerian eligible player in Justin Jima. And I discovered that he isn't quite that out and out number 9 Victor Osimhen type. He's more of a support striker, not a 10. He's more of a support striker where he's a kind of a striker where if he has a 10 close to him, or an attacking winger close to him, or a striker pairing with him close to him where he can flick off, dovetail off that player, he will be absolutely phenomenal. In a season, just 2 seasons ago, he scored, I think, 14 goals and came up with 12 assists. Think about that. Let that sink in for a minute. 14 goals, 12 assists. So, he knows how to create chances for others. So you can imagine, if Victor Boniface is paired up with Victor Osimhen, you know the kind of danger that they will create, the kind of havoc they will create for opposition defenders. So I think he should be brought back into the Nigerian squad. And I think the person that may have to drop out for me is Cyril Dessers. I just feel like Cyril Dessers, the physicality is the issue. Until Nigeria gets an actual number 10, then I think it is at this point in time, it's really, 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 really difficult for me to have what's his face, Cyril Dessers in the team. So let's look at one formation that Nigeria could go with. Nigeria could go with the 4-4-2. The simple, back in the day, orthodox 4-4-2. Now, how would this 4-4-2 work? Now, I would go with, so I'll work on this behind the scenes and I'll bring it up when it's done. So I will go with Stanley Wabali as the goalkeeper. At this point, I think Nigeria should begin to look for not alternatives, but someone that can actually compete with Stanley Wabali. And then going at right back right now, Ato Okonkwo is a name that comes to mind. At right back now, Olaino is out. But let's just say in an ideal situation with everybody available, I will go with Olaino at right back. And then in this defense, there's a new face I want to see added, right? A new face. And that's David Odogu. He's 6'3", 4", so he's pretty tall as well. Because I think at this time we should begin to look at replacements for certain people like William Ekong. And then I would go with Igor Ogbu. I think Nigeria needs to act really fast. I think Nigeria should act really, really fast, or else we're going to miss out on Odogu, just like we missed out, unfortunately, on Nnamdi Collins. I know there are a couple of more games to go when Nigeria can invite him, but for me right now, I just see it as it may be near on impossible because the NFF, I don't know if they really have their acts together to get a player who's already committed to another country. So, and then for left back, we'll go with Felix Ago. Yeah, let's go with Felix Ago at left back. I don't know what you all feel about Felix Ago at left back. So I'll go Felix Ago at left back. And then on this left hand side, I'll go to Ademola Lookman. I'll go with Ademola Lookman. I'll go with that. Or for now, let's just give a different name a try. Give a different name a try. No. For now, we'll go to Ademola Lookman and then we'll bring him on. Then for the next round, we'll get the next person. So then in that two-man midfield, I'll go with Chris Santos Uche to be in that midfield. And then Rafael Onyedika will be the next one. Because like I said, in any two-man midfield, you want players that are able to go both ways. So Rafael Onyedika goes in here. And then on the other side, or on the left-hand side, or on the right-hand side, maybe we'll go with Chukwueze. And yeah, that's it. And the two-man strike partnership, for me, let's try Tolu Arokodare. And Victor Boniface. And Victor Osimhen. Victor Osimhen. So we'll go Victor Osimhen. There you have it. And I'll bring this up on the screen in a minute. Bring this up on the screen. So let's go with Victor James Osimhen. So this is the way I would look at setting up this team. Because for me, going back to wing play, going back to what works, I think that's something Nigeria should be, considering and should be looking at. So I'll share my screen rather, and I'll bring this up here. So I'll bring this up here. And of course, if you're free to join the chat, free to join the call, you're free to join the video. So I'll drop this in here. If you want to join, you most certainly can. That's the link to join the chat. It's right there. You can join up and we can have a nice discussion here. So this is what I will be going with. This is what will be, if we go with a 4-4-2, this first formation I'll be looking at. Ademola look at Lionel right back. Of course, that picks himself. Felix Ago left back. That picks himself as well. Iwobi, David Odogu, a new face. Let's see if the NFF can indeed go on to get these players to come into the country. Let's see how that happens. And then in midfield, Rafael Onyedika, Uche Santos. For me, this should be what we go with. Sorry, excuse me. This should be what we go with because you see what he does for his club. You see what he does in the Champions League, which is one of the toughest competitions in the world. So there's no need having him on the bench like Eric Chell did in this World Cup qualifying game where he had him relegated to the bench. He didn't even get any minutes in both games. I don't get the reason. I don't understand. I don't get it. Whether it's the NFF that's causing this, I don't understand why that should be the case. Because at the NFF, your sole concern shouldn't be who starts, who doesn't start. Your concern should be, is the team winning? Is the coach doing his best to get the team to win? Does the coach look like he knows what he's doing? Your concern shouldn't be changing players, taking players off the team. So this is what I would go with. And Tola Rokodare and Victor Osimhen, I've gone with it because, of course, Victor Osimhen must always start. He is Nigeria's best striker, if not best player, so he should start. And then Tola Rokodare, something I've seen in the games he played for Wolves, and I've seen in the games he's played for Genk, and the game he's played for Nigeria Super Eagles as well, is his physical presence and his game IQ. He's not just a giant, of course, 6'6", but he puts himself about well. He uses his body well. He's able to set up chances for his teammates. So that's something I'm looking forward to seeing someone like Eric Chell take advantage of. That's something I'm looking forward to seeing Eric Chell take advantage of this. And certainly, I don't want to see a Desas start ahead of Tola Rokodare. There's no world where that makes sense to me, in my humble opinion. Maybe you can say, okay, let's even go for a slightly different formation. But for me, any formation you want to go with, it would always go back to wing play. That's the way I see it. I don't know what you think. Let me know in the chat. What do you think about the sort of starting lineup? What do you think about it? So I'll be adding some names here that are not quite Nigerian yet, in quotes, because we haven't had them, invited to the team yet. But still, let's just give it a go. So goalkeeper, I'll go with Ato Okonkwo because, like I said, at this point, Nigeria should begin to look for options that can take the place of Stanley Nwabali when he's injured or he's missing or something in that regard. Now, for left back, let's see if we go with a new name. Let's see if we can even find that name here. Yeah, for left back, he is a very attacking-minded left back. Let's have a look at him. And then defense, we go with right. There's another new one, 6'4". It's 6-2. I don't know what's happening here. Let's see if we can bring this out. Yeah, they say he's Polish, but we know when you see Bright Ede, that's Nigerian all the way. And then we'll go with an Odogu parent still. Oh, Vince Osuji. Let's go Vince Osuji. For whatever reason, he's gone cold. We don't hear much about him, but he's another talented player that should come in. So go there. And then it's sad looking at the right back situation. Who do we even go for? Right back. We put Olaina. I need to do some more research. Because Nigeria, we do need another person to be in this right back situation, right back position. Because for some reason, I really don't rate Bright outside Samuel. And then, of course, we'll still go with the same, what do you call them now? We'll go with Uche. We'll go Uche. And we'll go with Uche. We'll go with Rafael Onyedika. And then in the 10 role, this is what we have to try. I have to look at dual nationals as well. If they get convinced, that's another thing. But go Ethan Waneri in that 10 role. In the 10 row. And then for the left wing, we'll see a new face, Otele. Go Philip Otele at that left wing position because he's got the skills, he's got the pace, he's got that endeavor, he's got the goal scoring ability in his toolbox. And then on this left hand side, who do we go with? Let's go with Chukwueze again. Chukwueze, and then striker. Let's see a new face. Of course, Victor Osimhen is the number one guy, but Rafi Dorushimi comes in here as our striker. So this is the formation I've looked at. But you can see, just like the other one, wing play is super important because it's a tool, it's a weapon that Nigeria has as a national team that we should be taking advantage of, right? You see, I've got Ato Okonkwo. This platform has a way of not bringing up certain current information, but Ato Okonkwo has already made his nationality switch. I've been waiting on Nigeria for a while. Let's see how that shakes down. So, Ahano is eligible to play for Nigeria and Italy. Bright Ede, eligible to play for Nigeria and Poland. Vince Osuji has Nigerian nationality. Olaino, Uche Chris Santos, Rafael Onyedika sitting in front of the back four. And then you have your Ethan Waneri in 10 row, Samuel Chukwueze on the left, Rafael Dorushimi to the middle, Philip Otele on the other side. So these are nice options to look at. But of course, if this was a World Cup qualifying match or the AFCON starter or first game, I would go with Victor Osimhen to start. And then, of course, choose Ekong, or not just choose Ekong, good. What's the face now? Choose Ekong for sure is one name, but we know the issues that he has. We'll go with Benjamin Frederick, to be in that defense because the way he set himself right now, he's made himself undroppable. Calvin Bassey and Benjamin Frederick, for me, they've made themselves undroppable at this minute. It's left for other players, it's left for other for their teammates to take them out of position, right? To show that they are better. But for me right now, the start in defense should be Bright Osayi Samuel alongside Benjamin Frederick alongside Calvin Bassey. So the two options I'm looking forward to seeing in this World Cup qualifying games, as well as the AFCON itself. Now, of course, the points have not been deducted yet, but we've had talk about papers being served to South Africa that the points will be deducted. Now, let's say those points are deducted. You have to still go in and win those games. And even with the points deducted, South Africa are still ahead of Nigeria. And the only way, Nigeria qualifies, despite the point, irrespective of with the point being deducted, South Africa would have to drop points, and you have to win that game versus the Benin Republic. So no risk should be taken in terms of play style, in terms of players that you invite to the team. No, no mistakes should be made. You need to get fresh faces in. You need to get your wing play right. I keep talking about wing play because that is the foundation of Nigerian football. And for whatever reason, Eric Chell decided to move away from it. And I don't get why. And I don't see the benefit. I don't see that huge benefit you're getting from, not playing wingers in the team. And I think at this point, what we need right now is to replenish the team, get players in for where you have players not performing well, get players in for where you have players injured, like your what's his face now, like your Olaino, who's out injured. You need to get someone in to come into that right back spot to challenge him, not just to be a backup, but to challenge him for his spot. You need to do that. So there's a young player. He's just going to Anderlecht, although he's a left back. But let's see how he shakes down. Definitely, we're not saying invite him because he's still pretty young, and then he's pretty raw still. So, but look deeply. You should find players, that would fit into the system of Nigerian football. And why I keep talking about this system is because when you look at teams that have won titles, won Euros, won World Cups, looking forward to winning even more trophies, is you see them stick to particular principles and are flexible around it, but the base of their team play is based on certain principles. Spain is based on we're going to dominate the ball. They may add pressing to it, right? They may add wing play to it, but dominating the ball is their style of play. The same thing with Nigeria, right? No matter what you want to do, wing play is super intrinsic, is super important to how Nigeria plays. Pace, power, cross into the box. That's why we have giant strikers. That's why we have giant strikers. So you don't want to mess that up a bit. Now the next thing I'll look at a diamond formation because that's something Eric Chell has looked at. That's something he's tried to implement. Although I think he got things wrong in terms of the personnel. Like he's played players in positions where they can cope, and he's played players playing in a style of play that they just can't cut it. Like the SARS, it's good when you have a 10 that can just play those sexy passes between the lines and you latch onto it and score. But if you're talking about being physical, the SARS can't quite cut it, in my opinion. So I'll be looking to another formation now, 4-4-2 diamond, and let's see the people I pick out to be in that formation, and let me know what you think about them as well. I've done the link to the video in the chat. If you want to join, you can click on the link and join me as well, and then we can go on with the conversation. But for now, let me go in here and let's walk behind the scenes again to come up with this 4-4-2 diamond formation. Let's see, or work if it will indeed work. Because the 4-4-2 formation, that means that if you're doing 4-4-2 diamond, that means you're not playing wingers. That means your wing play is going to be dependent on your fullbacks, on how attack-minded your fullbacks are. Because your way to be created by your fullbacks. If you go with, I think, Felix Ago at left back. I got left back there. Oh, finally changed. That's nice. Felix has got left back. And then we go with Calvin Bassey. Calvin Bassey. Now, I would say Benjamin Frederick should be his partner, but Iwobi as well would be a very good option. So, Okay, yeah, finally he's not here. So Benjamin Frederick goes in there. And then at right back, there's only one name at the minute that comes to mind. Olina goes in at right back there. Then if we're doing this, I would like to see Ebenezer Casemiro, because you need someone that is able to keep it popping. Some people will say, "Oh, which club does he play for?" My question, my response to those people is always this: Who is the guy that you have? Who is the guy that you have that can play that role? No, who is the guy that you have that can play that role? So for me right now, I'll still go with Eduardo National, whether or not he gets to play for Nigeria or not. Let's see how it shakes down, but I'll put him there in that 10 role. If you're going with this type of information, you will have players right there. And then on either side of this midfield will be Onyedika and Santos. And the thing with this midfielders are not really wide midfielders to create width. It's more like they help you control the game. So go with Uche there. Uche, for whatever, is still showing Tafe as opposed to Crystal Palace. So Uche there. And then I'll go with Osimhen. And I'll go with Boniface. I'll go with Osimhen. Then Victor Boniface. So I'll share this back up here. So I'll go with this formation. This is another one to look at. Now, who might say this formation doesn't give you that much width? True. But if you want to go 4-4-2 diamond, you go with the right personnel to play it. What then will happen in this formation is that you would have Onyedika, you have Uche, moving close into the midfield, and moving close into the midfield. Then you have Felix Agu, Olina creating width. They will provide the width for the team, and then Ethan Waneri creates ultimately the ultimate creator in this, and then you have Victor Boniface with Victor Osimhen. Now, why I chose Victor Boniface to be in this formation is he is that sort of guy that he likes to feel the ball. He likes to be in that position where he's linking up with someone, linking up with the striker, linking up with the 10. So in this case, you have two players he can link up with. He has two players he can link up with. Yeah, he has two players he can link up with in Victor Osimhen and Ethan Waneri. While Victor Osimhen will be the rugged guy, the aggressive guy, making life difficult for defenders, Victor Boniface can be that striker that's a bit more creative. Can create lots of chance for Victor Osimhen, and then as well, when those balls drop off Victor Osimhen, he can be there immediately to turn that strike into the net. So, and then someone like Ethan Waneri would really enjoy having Victor Boniface in it. Because like I said at the top of the video, if you just join in on this stream, I'm talking about how Nigeria can set up going into the World Cup qualifying games as well as the AFCON coming on later on this year. And I did say at the top of the show about Victor Boniface that for years we have been misprofiling Victor Boniface. We have looked at him as, that player that is a lone striker type of player, that is like a Victor Boniface, it's like a Victor Osimhen, I'm sorry. But he is different. He's someone that, likes to link up with midfielders, drop deep a bit. And that's how he created the opportunity for Justin Jima. So I'm thinking he should be a second choice. He should be a second striker, not a second choice striker. A second striker in any formation that we are going to play, a 4-4-2, a 5-3-2. In fact, any formation that sees two strikers being paired up. Because while you have the bigger, more aggressive striker, Victor Osimhen or Tolu Abukodare, winning balls and all that, he can be there to create. He can be there to feed off what you may call the scraps of the table and turn them to half chances or even actual chances where you're scoring and scoring goals and therefore winning games. And he could also be that guy to create for Victor Osimhen. That chance he created for Justin Jima was he dropped out a bit from the 10-yard box, dropped into the pocket, between the defense of the opposition team and the midfield of Werder Bremen. Got the ball, laid it off for Victor Osimhen, for Justin Jima. Justin Jima scored it. So you can have that situation here similarly as well. Because I think the main issue with Victor Boniface is, for most coaches in Nigeria, they've seen him as, he's this lone guy we're going to just hit the ball to, like Victor Osimhen. And like I always say, with strikers all over the world, ever since time, they have different ways of playing. And when you take them out of the way they play, you make them struggle. And when they struggle, you also make your team struggle. Like we used to know of People Inzaghi. People Inzaghi used to play on the shoulder of the defender. Ferguson used to say he was born offside. Right? You play on the shoulder of the last defender. A lot of times you will go offside, but the one or two opportunities where he will beat the offside trap, he will score. So that was his own way of playing. Didier Drogba, powerful, hold the ball up with chest, pin the defender down, spin the defender, either flick the ball on for his oncoming teammates or take a shot, win headers, different style. Thierry Henry gets the ball down that left channel, left flank, holds it, glides past two players, cuts in on his right foot, bends it, takes a shot, creates for his teammates. A different style of play. So we have a very good, top quality player in Victor Boniface. It's just how Eric Chell and the other coaches before him have chosen to use him that has made him feel like he's not that good. And now with this, another thing with this kind of formation as well is it helps you dominate possession. With this 4-4-2 diamond, it helps you dominate possession. We saw it when Ancelotti used it at Chelsea, right? So, and that's why I've gone for Ebenezer Akintimiro. Because having him here, he would hold the ball, he would pop the ball about, he would help control the flow of the attack, while Onyedika and Uche, will be in that midfield. They can do box-to-box work. They can also be creative forces alongside him, and provide support for Italy as well. Because this is mainly keeping possession. If Uche is on the ball, you are not really going to get that ball off him easily. You have to foul him. You have to crowd him out. We've seen it, in the League Cup fixture, right? You have to crowd Uche Santos out. 2-3 players have to be on him before he loses possession. And what that would mean is, if any country in the AFCON, in a World Cup qualifying game, crowds out Uche Santos, what then happens is it pops up spaces for Onyedika in this formation, Itenwan in this formation, Boniface in this formation, and you can harm them, you can hurt the opposition team that way. And then what I've gone for Benjamin Felix and Calvin Bassey is that high line, that high pressing, because both of them are comfortable on the ball. But I think, if I'm completely honest, I think Benjamin Frederick is a bit more comfortable on the ball than Calvin Bassey. Calvin Bassey can really be a battering ram as well. He's also good on the ball too, don't get me wrong, but I think Benjamin Frederick is overall better on the ball than him. So you have this sort of centre backs that are hyper aggressive, they've got pace, so you have them in the high line. So that's the thing about just Ekong, right? You play just Ekong in a team where you want to play high line, that is disaster. That is your cotton disaster. If you want a prototypical old school defender, sit in front of the back four, defend stoutly, win your tackles, win your duels, and then play those switch balls, choose Ekong is your guy for the most part, right? But if you want to play high line, you want to have a situation where your center back, say Bassey, is up here, you need players that have that recovery pace. Because sometimes people think players are just milk shakers or salt shakers on the table where you move them. They're human. So you need to have, if you want to play high line, you need players that have that recovery pace. That have that pace, so when a long ball is played or when a midfielder is making a run beyond them, or a team is hitting them on the counter attack, they have that recovery pace to go after the opposition player and actually win the ball. Because you play Chus Ekong there, then you're lost, because any long ball that comes in, any counter attack that comes in, then you're in problem. Then you're in trouble. But when you have a Benjamin Frederick, to be fair, Vince Osuji, Igor Ogbu, when you have those ones in the building, then you can afford to play a high line. And these names I've just called, Igor Ogbu, Vince Osuji, Igor Ogbu, fair play, he's already part of the team. Vince Osuji is there. So sometimes when we talk about replenishing the team, people kind of feel like, oh, you're always talking about dual nationals. Well, I talk about them. If they're eligible to play, if they're good enough, they should come in. There shouldn't be any issues about that. But also, you have players that are not dual nationals. They have only Nigerian citizenship. And so that should be easy, shouldn't it? But it's not the case many times with the NFF. So with this formation, you can have this people play high line. And why that's important as well, that you have people that can recover, because you would have Uche coming to the midfield here, you have Onyedika coming to the midfield here, and then Olaino would pull up this way, to create width. You have Felix Agu pull up this way to create width as well. So you need so essentially you're defending kind of with three players. So Ebenezer Kinsimiro, Calvin Bassey, and Benjamin Frederick. And why I've gone for Ebenezer Kinsimiro, people may not like it. Who may say, oh, it's his club, but that. My thing is, who is that other six option that you have that has it in his bag, that has it as part of his game to control play, to hold the ball, pop the ball about, dictate the state of play for the team. That's one area where Nigeria doesn't really create or produce a lot of players. So because when it comes to wingers, yeah, we always produce them, but in that area. So if you want to go with a 4-4-2 diamond, this is how you do it. Because 4-4-2 diamond is not my most favored formation, but that is something Eric Chell wants to do. He's tried it, but the problem with his own style is he's played people in positions where they're not meant to be. For instance, if I bring this up again, you've had situations where he's played Ademola Lookman here. Yeah, we've had a situation where he's had Ademola Lookman play in this position. And that's not going to work. That's not going to work. Because players, like I said, when I talk about Chelsea on another channel, I say Palmer is a very good player, could be world class, but he can never be a robot. He can never be a cyborg. Same thing. This player, Ademola Lookman, top level player. Speaking of Lookman, I'm happy to hear that he's now been integrated into the Atalanta team. Obviously, they've been struggling without him, so they're not reintegrating him into the team, which is good. Because we want him playing, want him to be in the right headspace, coming into this World Cup qualifying fixtures and coming into the AFCON as well. So I want him to come in and let's just win this game. These last two games, whatever South Africa does, whatever Benin Republic does, Nigeria just go into this game and win. That's it. So, but we have Ademola Lookman playing here. There's no point. He's not going to do anything for you. There's no need to play square pegs, put square pegs in round holes. It never works. Enzo Maresca has done it, and it's holding Chelsea back. But you shouldn't have done it. It's holding, and it held Chelsea back. And it's right now holding the US, although the US national team are not that great in terms of their talent pool, so maybe that's a different discussion. But playing players in wrong positions, in positions that don't suit them, doesn't help the team. If you just joined the stream on today's video, we're talking about how to set the Nigerian Super Eagles team up going into the next phase of international games, i.e. the World qualifying games, Benin Republic and Lesotho, if I'm not mistaken, and then as well going into the AFCON itself, starting December, finishing in January, if I'm not mistaken. So going into those games, how should Nigeria set up? How should Nigeria look? Look to present the team going to face those other teams like of Tunisia, and then who should be in what position. For me, like I said, 4-4-2 diamond isn't my most favorite formation. But because I really like exciting wingers who have pace, who have skill, that can go 1v1, get past players, that is what a football fan actually lives for, if I'm completely being honest, right? But I also understand that there are different ways to win a football match. There are different ways to set up your team, right? So if Eric Chell says, "Oh, I want to play 4-4-2 diamond," then what you have to do is pick the players that fit that sort of formation, you know. And then one thing I've also said is, this formation aside, ultimately, I would go with a formation that sees Nigeria playing with out and out wingers, have one striker, have a 10 behind him, and then have two midfielders sitting behind. And when you say midfielders sitting behind, a lot of people think that, oh, they're like robots. They don't move. They stay behind in front of the back four and they don't move. No, you're dynamic. So that's why sometimes when I say Umtiku Santos play in the six, people think that I mean that it should be like a robot and not move. No, when you're playing that six, you can see the entire pitch. You can move up, and control how the game moves. So I'll go to my own favorite formation, the way I would like to see Nigeria set up going into the remaining fixtures. So I'll just go back in here and I'll bring it back up when when it's done. So goalkeeper, I'll still go with Wabali. So that's why for me I'm saying right now, if Wabali isn't fit, then we have an issue. All right. So that being the case, the NFF needs to get on their bike, and that is where their job is. It's not deciding who starts. Let the manager live and die by his choices, right? Let the manager live and die by his choices. You just make sure you get the best players available. For instance, Chizaram Mizawasa, he could have got. I don't know why they're waiting all this time. Chelsea refused to release him, which is just sad. Let's see. Hopefully, they go back in for the player. So for me, left back, I'll go Felix Ago, but I think he's just a bit more technical. But for me, I see a Bruno Yimachi starting, no problem. That's still fine with me. If Bruno Yimachi is in the 4-3-3 formation, that's still fine. Fine by me. Have no issues with that one. And then go with Calvin Bassey. And then we go with Frederick again. So like I said, Frederick, but if Igbo is here, there's no issue with me 100% because he's top notch. But by that I mean, if he starts for Calvin Bassey, if he starts in place of Frederick, if he starts in place of Frederick or Calvin Bassey, still fine by me. No worries, no problem about that. And then of course right back, I don't know what name, which is good and bad at the same time because we don't have that much options. I'll do some research and I know there are lots of right backs because wing backs, right backs, left back, wingers, that's something that Nigeria produces a lot. And in this, I would go with Uche, right? I'll go with Uche, and the name I would go with next to him wouldn't be surprising to people who have been on this channel, wouldn't be surprising to people who I talk football with. But some people might say, yeah, it's the name I've mentioned before because we need control in that midfield. Game like Zimbabwe game. Why Nigeria lost that game, or rather drew the game, because that draw felt like loss to me. Drew that game was because we couldn't control the flow of play. And this is what he will bring. So I'm going to put there. And then we go with Ademola Lookman. Quite frankly, even if I say Ademola Lookman, Philip Otele will be a very good shout for this team. I think he is 1B. If he comes in, he gives us what we have at left back because we have Onyomachi, Bruno Onyomachi at left back, and you have Felix Ago there as well. So two options. So I also think the same thing would apply if you get Philip Otele in because Lookman will be 1A because he's had more time with the team And then, of course, you go on to have this guy. And now, for here, we have Chukwueze. So basically, what I'm going with right now are for players who are available in terms of nationalities, switches, and all that are actually available for this one. Because Ethan Wanami, for me, is the ideal guy that should be in this 10 role. But at the minute, we don't have it. So I'll go with Iwobi. You might say, oh, Iwobi, you're having him, you usually criticize him. Yeah, that's to tell you that I don't have any issues with anybody. I just judge players based on how they perform. If they don't perform well, I just say it because I can't sugarcoat it. And then, of course, the number 9 is your one and only, the one and only, the one and only Victor James Osimhen. So every other one, hopefully his feet going into that game, going into the as games, because he's super important. So this is what I've gone with right here. This is what I've gone with right here. So go with 4-3-3. So you got Iwobi in the 10, Uche and Ebenezer Kinsimiro in those two-man midfield in front of back 4. Benjamin Frederick, Calvin Bassey in the central back pairing, because I know it's going to be high line, high press, high octane football, which I don't have a problem with. For me, it's just that you have the players that have that ability to play it, right? That have the ability to play that have the ability to go both ways. So you don't just play a player because he has more experience. When the style of play you want to express or you want to play, or how you want your team to express themselves, the player can really match it up athletically. So for me, that's what I will be going with. And of course, Stanley Wabali in goal. But that being said about Stanley Wabali, Nigeria needs to start getting a number two into this team. At least someone compete for that spot with him. So if he's suspended, if he's injured, you have someone that comes in. Because before this World Cup qualifying games, the moment we heard that probably he could miss it, I'm sure every Nigerian had their heart in their mouth, because the gap between him and the next guy is too wide. And that shouldn't be the case for a team like Nigeria. So, and then of course, going for Ola now, Felix Agu, I just feel like they are the best options in terms, not just in terms of the athletic ability and the speed that they have, but technical ability as well. I just feel like Felix Agu is a bit more technical than Bruno Yemachi. Bruno Yemachi is your typical old school fullback, pace, power, very good crossing down that left side. So if he starts ahead of Felix Agu, I really don't have an issue with it that much. So let me know what you think about it. Let me know what you think in fact about this in the chat. So let me know. And then in that case, Nigeria needs to control play in Africa, in world European football, in world football. These guys that they don't score goals that much, they don't create that many chances, but they help you create. They help. How do I put it? They don't come up with so many assists, but they create lots of chances. By this I mean they see the right winger making the runs, like they see Chukwueze making the runs, like he spots him, he flogs that long pass, and then he goes, and then Chukwueze crosses the ball for Victor Osimhen. So on the start sheet, you won't see Ebenezer Kinsimiro assist, but he's the one that seen that runs and given the pass. And he's the one that, when the game is under pressure, he can hold the ball, give it to Calvin Bassey, drop deep, get the ball off him, give it to Olaina, drop deep, get it, give it to Chris Santos. It's so important. That's why you see Merino, Zubimendi, a lot of players clubs are going for. They're in Arsenal. You've seen Zubimendi. Arsenal. You've seen Adam Wharton. Reportedly, Chelsea are interested in him. They possibly could pay a lot of money for him. So it's key. Look at Rodri at Man City. Look at Mikel. Ever since Olise and Mikel, that's it. There's been a gap. Who is that guy that sits and controls? Now, People might think I'm just being negative about the player. I'm not. I'm not. The day he shows that he's more than what I think he is, then once he plays differently, then I'll say, yeah, he's different. But Hassan Yusuf is not that guy. Lots of people keep talking about him. He's not. So Ebenezer Kinsimiro for me, I think would work in there. And then of course Iwobi. While I don't think he is the most creative of tens in the world, but I think for what we have in the team, I think he's the best option. Give him tools. Give him by tools I mean Osimhen ahead of him, Chukwueze beside him, Ademola Lookman beside him. He can link up with them. He can make those passes, in midfield, right? But the one issue I have with Iwobi is that he's not. Maybe if he has 10 opportunities, he may make the best decision in 5 of those, where you expect someone to make the best decision in like 8.5 of those or 9 of those. So that's the thing, and that's why this area, this 10 role, if Nigeria really wants to get back to the glory days, should start that hunt of getting that actual 10. If you don't like Ethan Waneri, they should get someone from another league or from the MPFL if you can see player of that quality. But for me, Ethan Waneri is right there. He keeps being missed out by England. You go in there and you get him. I think we'll have another show where we'll do on Scene 11, that's players who haven't played for the Super Eagles but are eligible, can play for the Super Eagles, who have that one. But let me know your opinions on this sort of how I would set up the Super Eagles if I had the opportunity, and how would you set up the Super Eagles yourself going into these World Cup qualifying matches coming up this October, and as well going into the AFCON itself. Let me know your opinions in the chat. As well, I want to say this. On the 20 side, the Flying Eagles did 3-1 with host Chile in a friendly game preparing for the World Cup proper that they'll be playing on the 29th of this month. So we'll be having watch-along videos on here. If you want to watch the game, you can watch on FIFA Plus, but we'll watch the game along here and we'll be reacting to every goal, every moment, every strike, every heart-lifting moment. We will be doing that on here on this channel. So at this point, I want to say a big thank you to everyone who has been here from start to this point for watching this video with me. And if you left a comment in the chat for doing that as well, we smash the like button and you subscribe to the channel as well, because we're bringing more and more crazy good content on this channel. If you've not participated in the trivia, please go on and participate in the trivia on this channel. If you want to join this group, you want to join the WhatsApp group, the link is on the channel description, so you can click that as well. But just to say, I know it's not you guys, but if you want to join that WhatsApp group, it is just to talk about football, about things coming up on the channel. It's not for any other thing else. So thank you so much for being on here with me. To have a fantastic rest of your day. Stay well, and most definitely stay blessed. Bye-bye.